I hope that you drew inspiration from the conversation you had with a leader in your sphere, as well as from the conversations that I had with Jeanette Stowski and Conan Smith, two environmental leaders who I've long worked with and admired. Ask yourself if there were common threads in what you heard. I heard quite a lot about core values, which is our topic for the next module, and being true to yourself. Listening to the Holding the Fire podcast with Ann Polina was also inspiring to me. Her perspective on ancient wisdom and how that holds a pathway towards sustainability and engagement that is often dismissed via Western top-down leadership is something that we'll continue to explore throughout the course. And the case on African wildlife management is a perfect example of what we started with, wicked problems, the interrelationship between social and environmental factors, in this case in elephant conservation. It's really clear and striking. Clearly, we're dealing with complexity. And it's intentional that this course is called Sustainability Leadership Development, not Environmental Leadership Development. And that's because while sustainability is a term much used and much abused, there are some fundamentals in the language that works as a guiding leadership principle. You see on the slide the standard definition of sustainability. This comes from the 1987 World Commission on Environment and Development. And that's meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It's a simple yet complex, and it's far beyond environmental management. Others have furthered this concept to say things like, sustainability is the possibility that life on Earth flourishes forever. That's from John Ehrenfeld. While there's controversy over the exact definition of sustainability, there is consensus that there's an environmental pillar, maintaining or restoring ecological functions like clean air and clean water, that there's a social pillar, ensuring that social capital and equity grows, and an economic pillar, which is long-term economic security and resilience that increases net benefits and diversity. This notion of intergenerational equity coincides with the wicked problems frame and leads to new ways of thinking about leadership. It's how we potentially get out of the leadership morass that we find ourselves in. Sustainability as a concept crosses institutional, organizational, and cultural boundaries, and is a critical organizing social principle. It's a different and more powerful frame than environmental leadership, and it's something that we'll continue to explore deeply throughout this course. So we know that we have complexity and sustainability. Let's look at how that stacks up against traditional leadership theory. It starts with command and control, because leadership theory came of age in tandem with the rise of industrialism and the post-World War II consumer society. In this frame, employees are a cog in the wheel of a machine. Factory workers are replaceable. This is often called scientific management, not because it's based in ecology, but because the view of individuals is as technicians to be managed. Leadership is top-down and hierarchical, the opposite, actually, of an ecosystem. Goals are about efficiency and increased production of more goods. There are clear structures and lines of authority, and people are considered in the frame of rational men. The gendered language here is intentional, as it was men designing this system for men, and men were to be controlled in this system. Now, the next evolution of this is towards transactional leadership, where it's not just strict control, but that leaders are manipulating individuals for maximum benefits and efficiency. This is elegant in its simplicity. Leaders lead, followers follow, and profits go up for all. But there's a problem, of course. This may have worked well in a world where resource constraints and social justice were sidebars. In a world where environmental issues were isolated and local, and when another frontier always existed just over the horizon, either figuratively or literally. But in today's complex and interconnected world, this transactional style has fallen out of favor for good reason, because many people have choices, and all people should. Third, in its place fell what's often called transformational leadership. This focuses more on happiness and well-being of workers by tweaking the rational man model. This is probably more how we think of leadership. The great man, again, this is gendered because that's how it arose, theories are where a charismatic, visionary leader inspires followers, not just by fear or intrinsic rewards, but by building shared visions. This leader can help people transcend self-interest and focus more on the long term, inspiring trust, admiration, loyalty, and respect. This is commonly referred to as the sage on the stage way of thinking. that is often written about and what you'll find in thousands of leadership books and profiles. This can have positive environmental outcomes if the orientation of the leader is towards that end, but it's mostly about minimizing environmental damage as opposed to the deeper concept of sustainability that we've been talking about. And it assumes that the solutions are apparent. We just need someone to guide us to them. That doesn't square with the wicked problems framework that we've been developing. So finally, in recognition of that increased complexity, there's been a rise in what's often termed systems leadership. Described as an approach in which leaders look beyond the interest of individuals and organizations and into that of local systems and communities, recognizing the complexity of the systems that we all operate within. This recognizes the systems thinking model that you read about earlier in this module and emphasizes how embedded leadership approaches are in social, economic, and sustainability systems. That drives us closer to the sustainability leadership model that we're developing, but it's not fully there. In fact, there still remains a mismatch between traditional leadership and sustainability challenges. If you peruse the shelves of a bookstore in person or online, you'll find countless books on leadership theory and practice, but most exist within the exact same mode that brought us the unsustainability challenges we're facing today, including the peril for our planet and species that environmental destruction is causing, and the social disruption that stems from these challenges. So we're going to need new models and new ways to envision a sustainable future. Models that use the natural world as a guide and embrace complexity. That's where we're headed in the next module, starting with an internal focus on vision and values.